My name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core New Core, my patrons Clayton, Ruby, Stephanie, and Jonathan, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor or student. So I had just started broadcasting and made it through my introduction and then got dropped, which never happens. So it'll be interesting to see if this particular video has my standard opening on it or not. Let's assume that it compresses them together, and then the other side of me says reintroduce myself. So my name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core New Core, my patrons Clayton, Ruby, Stephanie, and Jonathan, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor. So 5 titles. Number 1 is just a passing comment about the MMP, which means the Michael Miller Pilates view of the tendon stretch on the reformer. Okay? And right before I went on, I tried to draw a reformer and some points, and so this point is the hips, okay? And this point are the knees, okay? And this point is the metatarsals, and this point is right there. Now, I guess the other thing that we need to distinguish is that, well, maybe it's obvious. If the rotation at the ankles is lower than the metatarsals, the beginning and ending of the tendon stretch in MMP is where the body is positioned, where the hips, the knees, and the ankles are 3 points on a line. And that it's in dorsiflexion where the metatarsals are on the carriage, but not the whole foot. In this position, there's no tension in the springs yet. So the head is here, shoulders, the arms reach into the bar. So this is the long, this is the, what am I saying it is? It's the tendon stretch on the reformer. The tendon stretch doesn't start in tension with the springs. It is up against it but not dynamically engaged in it. Like at rest, the heels are down. You're stretching dorsiflexion. And the ankles, the knees, and the hips are 3 points on a line. And that line you're after, this line that you're after, is vertical. So you're at ease, vertical, 3 points on a line. You're connected from shoulders to the bar. It's such an eloquent exercise because you're making your connection to what is rigid way out from your hips, through your shoulders, out to your arms, into your hands. And yet the point of initiation is from the hips, and that and that, how do I say this? And that this line, right? Everything goes out in front of the line. So it goes out that way. It doesn't come from vertical and your hips sway back to push the carriage out. First of all, the name of it is the tendon stretch. And so being in the tendon stretch while you then articulate out and into tension of the carriage, in MMP, the ideal that you're after is to be in the position at ease, but in dorsiflexion, so you're in the tendon stretch. And then from there, you continue through dorsiflexion, pressing out through your heels, to lead you out and bring you back. And that's very difficult to do without throwing yourself head over heels in the reformer. So, passing comments about the tendon stretch. That in MMP, ideally, you're after that vertical position with springs at ease. The engagement, there's a connection from hips, shoulders, out to hands. But it's in the way the body uniformly engages itself that keeps the hips at or forward in the effort and not swinging back behind. You take your effort out, away from center. So, yesterday on Facebook, I had a fellow Pilates passionate from then connect now in the broadcast that I was making. And some of his feedback was very kind and mostly came out of me and Cornu, the Cornu in me, wanting to know what happened to the poster that used to appear in shots of the studio on social media. The then part of that connection was way back then on tour trying to free myself from the politic of appearing at a particular studio. I went the route of renting a presentation room at a hotel, big one, and all the stuff for demonstration materials and all the stuff trying to sell. And I had Joel show up, Joel Crosby in Atlanta. And so back then, what were my notes for back then? Back then, or how are things different between then and now? It was me traveling on tour, trying to make a presentation. That then led to an opportunity to do a workshop. Right? I don't think I came across very well, but at least I got to what? To make an audio recording of the my recollection of how I came to identify core new tension, or how I came to be in front of you and say CT is something. It's as simple as being able to recognize an axis of rotation and another axis of rotation and moving in opposite directions between those axes. It's that simple. So my venue here in front of my phone in my apartment is much smaller and way more affordable. Way more affordable. And probably not possible at the time that I was traveling to be live and in person. So, in what way are things the same between then and now? I'm still completely consumed by the regard I hold for what I'm professing and wanting to do the best I can to what I think is representing the same information that has perhaps taken on a bit more articulation. Because I've come to just wanting you to know two things. One's biomechanical and the other is a point of view of Pilates. And that no matter what you have to do or to think or to feel about Pilates, I encourage you to find the sensation in your own body, which will make it easier for your reasoning to embrace what you already can feel. Core new tension is navigating your body or engaging your body with insight to the physics that your biology is embracing in order to move through space, in order to survive. And what are you trying to survive? Gravity, right? Gravity. So, that was my number 3, really. My number 3 is just wanting you to see the distinction between the two identifications that I'm claiming to make. One is about biomechanics in the human body, and the other is a point of view of Pilates. And I consider it an identification because the point of view is based on an ideal, is based on a theory that there's an ideal within Joe's original work. Right? Words right out of his book. So that's where MMP gets its authority and its legitimacy, if it has any at all, is based on Joe's definition, Joe's statement, and Joe's sequence. The statement being what? That contrology develops the body uniformly. So, what's the same thing now is that just like back then I had an audience of one, and yesterday I luckily had, I think Jonathan and Patty were also there. Office hours for the instructor. That paradigm keeps settling in for how I'm presenting myself when I'm doing this review of notes. it can be easy to explain and demonstrate core new tension, but take a while, and a while could be a long time, but maybe not. But no, see, thank you, Jonathan, and thank you, Joel, yesterday, for the interactiveness. Because it's helped me slide into this point of view that all I'm trying to help you with is this particular point of view, the MMP point of view. You know, core new tension, awareness of core new tension gives you a way to engage your body that optimizes its capacity to move, because it allows you to distribute the load of the weight of your body as uniformly as you can, given the body that you're in, seeking to achieve the biomechanics that it does in order to do what it does in the way that it does it. And Michael Miller, me, is pointing to the fact of biomechanics in your body, core new tension. And that gives your legs a way to be in space. It gives your head a place to be in space. Had a place to be in space. I think that's a good point. And I'm trying to build some kind of a generic story about the sign on the hill. The sign on the hill. And why you might want your sign on the hill when you don't really need it. And it isn't really part of your plan. And yet, when looked at strategically, one of the reasons you pay for the sign on the hill to deny a competitor's sign to appear there instead. Think about it. Think about it. That's why someday I think that the bulk of the people that listen to and review my recordings, if they last, is to the Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates. Because they're the ones that have established a financial relationship to claim that relationship, both in terms of when it started and to the degree it exists. So the sign on the hill. In my summary, I guess I came back to this image because my parting comment was an ideal. And in terms of this exercise and connecting to ideals, Vertical is sensational, and not being locked in your knee and having a dynamic endpoint between hips and ankles, and then controlling it from so far away through the shoulders to the hands. It's all about the relationship of the weight of your body and how it's held in space. So, and now, sign of the hill. So, your comprehension of what I'm putting out there, what I'm pointing to the point that you get it intellectually and it comes through sensationally as well. To me, that's a huge leap in having an appreciation about how the body accomplishes, how the human being accomplishes what it does. And so I'd end with the fact that feeling vertical, say in tendon stretch, you nestle right up to the position, and then the engagement starts from your core, and you control where you are in space like a gymnast would relative to vertical. I try to think about how others navigate the Pilates culture, and what, that would be a good question. Is there a sense of self as a Pilates instructor? What is that? I spend a lot of time on my broadcast talking about the point of view, but that's just because that's all I have, and whether it was then or now, that's the hand between my shoulder blades. Allowing me my peace when I do my best. To put out the best vibe I can while I can. And that vibe, I would hope, is resonant to what I see in Pilates as an ideal that you can feel. Complete coordination of being, thinking, and observing. And all that admits is that the amygdala and the hippocampus feed info into the thinking, and the body, the being, has to all work together to make something happen. See, for Pilates to be corrective exercise, the correction has to come from somewhere. Let me pursue this in Facebook while I still have a little bit of energy. Thank you for being here on YouTube, and alive can't live forever. So read between the lines and see behind the curtain. Add two and two. Add two and two. Direct your thinking. Geist